Hello, my name is Andrea Johnson, and I am with the Management 6334 Seminar on Organizational Behavior, and this is my review of the Heidi Roizen case. Heidi Roizen is the definition of a network success. She started off at the ground up at Tandem as an editor for their internal newsletter, and now she is a partner at SoftBank. She started off at a very young age. She actually grew up in the industry with her father, went to college for creative writing, and it really wasn't until the death of her fiance where she really started to focus on herself. Before that, she was a complete giver, giving to her fiance, pushing him towards his skills, but then after his death, it forced her to really look at herself and what she wanted. Finished college and got a job at Tandem. And actually, this is her first networking experience. She actually used a friend to put her in touch with the manager that was hiring, and was almost hired immediately on the spot. So she was the editor for their internal newsletter, and actually she got invited to numerous discussions and management meetings where she would meet the CFO, the CEO, someone that you normally wouldn't interact with unless you were at that same level. So this is where she really started to build her network. She used her network from there with the CEO to write a letter of recommendation for her to graduate school. After she got out of graduate school, she went on to be an entrepreneur with her brother, who wrote a software program. And that's really where she started to even further her network skills. So she really focused on marketing with the software. She forced herself on all types of interviews and panels. She put herself on advisory boards, all to get the name and the software out there, but to also collaborate with other individuals in the business. And really, she's really started to grow her network there. She did kind of give up that piece, and she went to Apple, where she was responsible for securing relationships. Something that she was very comfortable doing. She liked to talk to people. She was definitely social in that respect. So here again, growing her network even larger. But she was also starting to use her current network to secure those relationships with Apple. So people she had done business with in the past, absolutely reaching out to them, using that network to secure relationships. She wasn't at Apple very, very long when she kind of got bored of the day-to-day, and then moved on to be a mentor capitalist, something that she defined herself and invented herself. So a mentor capitalist is something the opposite of a venture capitalist, where you actually invest money. A mentor capitalist invests their time and expertise in exchange for a stake in the company. So, this is where reciprocity comes into place. She's giving her time, but in return, she's getting some stake in that company. From there, she moved on to be a partner at SoftBank. And she's using her ties now back and forth to call in favors, at all of, Apple, and then Mentor Capitalist and SoftBank. This is where she's really starting to utilize her full advantage to that network, where she's calling in favors, she's recommending people for positions, because then, in return, she will get something later on. She makes a very valid point where you don't have to keep in contact all of the time with your network. You just have to be consistent, which obviously she was very consistent. If her network reached out to her, she would obviously follow through, because as she reached out to her network people, they would follow through for her and absolutely call in those favors. So she was very consistent. She was also very likable. A couple of people who worked with her said a couple of times, she's just a very likable person. When she's talking to you, she makes you feel important, and that everything that you're talking about, she is completely interested in. And it was also said she can take a very boring and mundane conversation and turn it into something that's very memorable, and you are going to walk away remembering Heidi. She would host dinner parties at her house. Her and her husband liked to host dinner parties with her network, something she liked to do, but then it also came on a more personal level to really get to know their network. So it wasn't just all about business. It put them more on a personal level and really kind of showed them that you cared about their relationship. She almost went on at one point to call her house a flop house. You know, she was having dinner parties, she hosted events there for her family, and she also let some of her networks, when they were in town and they needed a place to stay at her house. So she was just a very, you know, an open door type of person. She was also a, you know, overall, Heidi is definitely, you know, a matcher. She gives and she takes, but in a lot of respects, she is a true giver. And I think it's called a productive giver. So she gives feedback to individuals, and she gives productive feedback. If she doesn't like something, she tells you exactly what she doesn't like and why, and how you can improve yourself later on. So, you know, to sum it all up, Heidi, I mean, definitely grew her network from the ground up. Definitely someone who focused on network all of the time, and definitely didn't take those relationships for granted. So I'm going to kind of end this with how I started. She's definitely the definition of a network success. I mean, the articles that we read about the principles could have been written about Heidi. So hope you enjoyed my overview, and thank you very much.